And we're back, Second String Sports, 88.7 FM, Corvallis. We got a special guest in the studio. If you saw our tweets, you got any questions that you want to tweet in, we got Oregon State head basketball coach Wayne Tinkle.
Good to be with you.
Good to be with you.
Thanks for coming on, Coach.
No, my pleasure. You guys, thanks for reaching out, and I thought this would be a lot better than calling in.
Definitely.
Face-to-face in studio.
Definitely.
All right, so Coach, we're going to kick it off right now.
Little round table.
First, we're going to kick it off with just some kind of fun stuff. So then we'll get into some more serious questions because that's what we like to do in college radio. So if you had to recruit a pitch to me, say I'm like, a 4-star athlete from Anchorage, Alaska, because we're in some recruiting process right now, how would you recruit me?
Well, geez, that's a good question.
You're sitting down at my home.
Sitting down,
Okay, and I'm going to preface it like this. Logan's a 6'8" wing with a great jumper.
Okay, there we go. Legitimate.
Yeah, but Logan, it's not this like
it's hard for me to get fired up looking at you, sorry. No, what we'd really do is sit down and we'd tell our staff first. We talked about how we are a family type run, program here. And a lot of people say that, oh yeah, family. But, when you get off the court, you hardly ever see the coaches. They don't really get involved in your life. It's very evident the minute you come on campus here and spend part of your 48-hour trip with us, you see the relationship, not only between the players and the coaches, but the players themselves, the chemistry. We sell that because that's what everybody's looking for. And the parents and the guardians want to hand their children off to people that they can trust, that they're going to really hold them accountable, but then also be there to pick them up when you got to dust off their fannies, because 18 to 22-year-olds sometimes, will make a bad decision, and hopefully it's not a life-altering one, but we sell ourselves, and we sell the program. People thought I was nuts when I left Montana, one of the top programs in the Big Sky, to come to Oregon State that didn't have a lot of success in recent years. But we remembered the success and the tradition that they had years ago, and so we thought with the right people, the right recruits, we could get it going. So we sell our vision. Obviously now we've had success in a brief couple of years, and so that sells itself. And then the opportunities you have here academically at Oregon State. We had some problems. We had hurdles at Montana. We didn't have engineering. We didn't have some other programs. We've got it all here. You can go in and talk to a guidance counselor and give them some ideas of what you want to do, and they'll create a major for you. So we don't have any hurdles academically, and that's something that's important. If it's not important, then we tell them to go play for somebody else, and we'd gladly compete against them.
Cool.
Yeah, awesome. Just kind of going off that, initial success, kind of what was your initial expectations coming to Oregon State, and, how has they changed kind of over the year?
Well, we didn't have many in year one. We thought we were just really, the goal was to lay the framework for how we were going to build our program, around character, around being selfless, discipline, and so that was really the goal. And we sat down with Bob DeCarlis, who was the athletic director at the time, and President Ray. We could have used some scholarships that were at our disposal at that time, but we chose to put them in the bank, knowing we didn't have any seniors, and we had a pretty good 2015 class we were involved with. So we went about that, but then we exceeded, the expectations with having to hold tryouts. We added 6 or 7 walk-ons, 5 that suited up and played somewhat regularly, but it was great because it was like, we've got nothing to lose. And credit to the guys we inherited from the prior staff, because they bought in. I know Langston was just in here. They bought into this new style, new staff, new way of doing things, new way of conducting your business off the court as well. We talked about reaching out, thanking the people that mowed the lawns, cooked the food, taught the classes. So that was part of developing a winning attitude that ultimately led to some pretty fun wins on the court as well. We went 14-0 to start the year at Gill, which was a school record. Then a season total 15 wins at Gill was a school record. So some neat things were done in year one, and obviously carried over to this season where we added a new recruiting class, and we're able to do some good things and then get rid of that 26-year hiatus from the NCAA tournament. What was a thrill. So I think by really focusing on the little things, that means so much. How you carry yourself on and off the court led to the early success that we've had, and quite frankly, it's raised the bar a little bit higher than we expected. There's a little more pressure, but that's good. We'd rather have it that way than people yawning when you start to talk about Beaver basketball.
Definitely.
So, Coach, you kind of touched on it, making the tournament this year. Were you surprised to get a 7 seed? Because I know we were all kind of thinking anywhere from like 8 to 10, and then when it comes out, you got a 7 seed. Were you guys surprised by that?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised. We thought because of our record, especially preseason, and then what we did in conference, the strength of the Pac-12 this year, that we were going to get a solid seed. And the committee actually called the Pac-12 on Saturday, the day before Selection Sunday. They wanted to know if Trace was going to play. And we didn't want it to hurt our opportunity to make the dance, but at that point we felt pretty good about it. And we wanted to be as forthright as we could because we wanted, for the best of the tournament, we wanted to be seated fairly for what they thought we would or wouldn't have. So we were honest. We said he'd be out for the first weekend for sure. And so then the next day when we got the 7 seed, I think it was a real credit to what we had accomplished in conference, what our guys had done for us. But yeah, it was a good surprise, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't hear too much, lashback.
No, not at all.
They got so, it was cool. It was deserved. I wish we would have played a little bit better, but we faced a VCU team that had been there, I think 5 years in a row.
Good team.
Very, very veteran. And it was our first experience. So now we know. You don't know what you don't know, but now we know. So we hope to get back there and do even better next time.
All right, so just sort of going off of what you were just talking about with Trace, sort of from a coaching standpoint and a dad standpoint, what has it been like to sort of watch his progress throughout this year? Did it sort of live up to the expectations of what you thought it would be like having him join the organization?
Yes and no. I think I knew that there was probably going to be some bumps in the road because I know he's stubborn like his mom. So, early on, we butted heads a little bit. He didn't know how to handle, being yelled at and disciplined and coached, motivated, by his dad in front of his peers.
Yeah.
A lot of that was one-on-one in years past and, on car rides home from the gym and that sort of thing. And now, and he was really trying to fit in. So he's passing up shots. He wasn't as aggressive. His attitude and his work ethic was always unquestioned. And I think that's why he earned the respect of his teammates so quickly. But, we had to have him be aggressive because we knew he was going to be one of our more skilled players. And so early on, we had to get after him, and I remember one practice yelling at him, don't pass him the ball if he's not confident enough to shoot it.
Yeah.
And so that started to get into his head. And then when the season started and he wasn't shooting it as well as we knew he could, he was young. And so it was, dad's taking the fun out. Dad doesn't believe in me. Dad this and that. And so we had a couple come to Jesus meetings. And, I reached out to Greg McDermott, who offered, hey, if you have any issues coaching your son, reach out. And he put Doug, his son who was playing with the Bulls, and Trace in touch. And he told him the same thing. He's like, hey, you're going to think your dad's this, that, or the other, but he's really that way to everybody. It's just coming to your ears in that manner for the first time. You'll get through it. Just working hard. You're a tough kid. And that was, I think, maybe 3 or 4 days before we went and played Kansas. And then Trace texted me in the middle of the afternoon, what room are you in? I'm in 550. Why? He goes, well, I can't come see my dad. And I'm like, okay. So I thought something was wrong. And he was like, no, nothing's wrong. I just wanted to, and then it hit me. He was a little nervous. And, I said, Trace, you've played in the Kevin Durant camp, the LeBron camp, NBA top 100. You've played against these guys. Just go do what you can do, play hard. And he had a big game. And that's where things started to turn around. I think he knew he had to get tougher. He had to just, mentally prepare a little bit, take a little more ownership, and every freshman goes through that. It was lucky he went through it earlier, and then, it took a little while for Stevie. He fought through the same thing. Mm-hmm. Big Drew, Derek Bruce, he had some issues getting through it. And so it's normal for all freshmen, but I think everything came together at the right time, and that's what allowed us to make the run we did.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned Tress. How is his progress doing in his injury, too, if you can touch upon that?
Yeah, he got out of his cast. We had surgery. We tried to let it heal, the fracture, and it wasn't healing very well. So we went down to Eugene, and Dr. Jones does an incredible job. Put a big old screw in there, bone grafted it. Like you said, he got out of the cast yesterday. He's in a walking boot for the next 6 weeks. So he's on the mend. He's been in the gym to the wee hours, on his little scooter, getting up shots, working on ball handling in the chair. He's chomping at the bit, but we've got to make sure he stays patient so that he's 100% and we have him for next year and don't have any lingering effects from the surgery or the injury.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously the freshmen played a big role on the team this year. Kind of, what was it like to see their development and how they developed from the start of the year?
Well, I mean, my hair was dark at the beginning of the season. No, it was great. It was great, and we knew they were a talented bunch. We challenged the veterans, which was the biggest part. As soon as last season ended, you guys accepted these walk-ons because you knew they weren't a challenge really to your playing time. The challenge for us moving forward is for you to welcome and accept the new freshman class equally, even though they will be a threat to your playing time. And I think by and large they did that for us. And you look at the progress. Big Drew, he made a splash early when we weren't playing quite the level of competition, and then had his struggles, and then really came on strong. Such a raw talent. He's only been playing for a handful of years. Had a great spring. He's up to almost 250 pounds. So he and Big G have really been pounding on each other all spring. His body looks different. We had one of the former coaches in the Portland area came down to watch a workout the other day, and he said, "Who's that big guy? Where'd he come from?" I said, "That's Big G." And he's transformed his body a little bit. You look at Stevie Thompson and how he finished. I mean, he was instrumental for us, the last few weeks of the season. And we've got Kendall Manuel, who had to redshirt, broke his leg early in the season. Is really a great shooter. He's going to help. We're going to miss Derek. Derek, let's go ahead and talk about it. He was a guy that we knew faced some challenges, but we hoped that by putting him in with all the other freshmen, they'd help hold each other accountable. He kind of isolated himself from those guys, and just wasn't didn't do all that he had to, and he was frustrated why he wasn't getting more playing time. But when you're playing behind a guy like GP2, it's tough. And then when maybe you're not making the best decisions off the court in our program, you're not going to be rewarded with playing time. So unfortunately, it was a tough lesson for him to learn. We hope nothing but good things for him moving forward. And we've got a great recruiting class coming in. We're excited about that. I don't know how much time we've got to dive into that, but our incoming freshmen will be here in about a week and a half. We've got a couple of days after that, a couple junior college players that will come in, and we're adding some pieces. It's going to be tough because we'll have, I think, 10 or 11 of our players will be first or second year players. Now, the talented, the great kids and all that, but it's going to take some time to get them familiar with our system and get the young kids we have coming back a little more confident. So we love being here. This is a great place. We love the fact that we're rattling some of the dust and paint on Gill Coliseum a little bit, and student sections have been awesome. Beaver Dam's been great. We're starting to drive that atmosphere again, and hopefully we'll continue to grow and we'll continue to do great things, not only just in the Pac-12 but preseason, and hopefully get to where we're making runs in the postseason year after year.
Definitely. So, Coach, we've had Drew Eubanks on. We've had Langston Morris-Walker on.
Boy.
Drew and Langston both kind of said they're the guys who get yelled at the most. So what I want to get like the Wayne Tinkle experience of getting yelled at. Obviously,
man.
like keep it safe for the radio.
Oh, man.
But like I want to know what's like. We're up 25. We're at home, and I decide to just start jacking up threes. What are you saying to me? Like I want the full breakdown here.
Well, if I'm going to get into coach mode, we might have to
mute the mic.
Mute the mic. We'll get it.
Well, first off, okay, Drew's probably right. He probably got it more than anybody. And I reminded Trace early on when Trace felt like I was being a little hard on him.
Yeah.
So we're way harder on Drew. Only because we knew Drew had a long way to go that way, maturity, toughness, because of his lack of experience. And we knew we were going to have to depend on him. And to his credit, he hung in there through it all. And nowadays the easy thing would be, oh, I'm picked on, I'm going to leave, I'm going to transfer.
Right.
And he hung in there, and because of it, he's made great strides. But, gosh, I tell you, if you're jacking it up and we're up 25 or down 25, you're going to get the shepherd's hook pretty quick.
I'm a gunner, Coach. I got to shoot till I'm hot.
That's what my dad always used to say, right? If you're not hot, shoot till you get hot.
Yeah, shoot till you're hot.
I just probably yank you real quick, and I always kind of say something positive.
Yeah.
And then wait a couple of possessions so you can cool off, I can cool off. Then I'll come down and I'll let you know that that's not Beaver basketball.
Okay, well then what if I'm a ref and I blow a call? Because I know you're not going to take it easy on a ref.
Oh, I'm really good with officials. I let those things go, no problem. No, if you're a ref and you make a bad call, now, again, it's your reputation. If I know you're pretty good, I might let one slide. But if you're a guy that I've known for a while and I don't really believe you're that strong an official, I'm gonna let you know about it so that you do start making some calls for me. And you got some young guys that want to try to bow up to you a little bit, and those are always fun conversations too. And it's a good thing. Well, it's kind of tough with Mike Parker's microphone right there. I've got to be careful, but I've been known to have some great conversations. In fact, this past year, I hope I don't get in trouble with this. I tried to get a couple of technicals, and they wouldn't pull the trigger. So I don't know what that's all about, but. No, we get a little bit heated. We've had some fun conversations with the guys in the locker room, either before or at halftime. But really, when it comes to game time, you don't want to be a sideshow, although I know sometimes I probably am. I can't help it. Langston thinks like he's picked on. He's one of the most loved players on the team because he's always got a smile on his face, But probably Drew and Trace, maybe the most I've gotten on. Those veterans had it easy. I mean, I only had them for 2 years. So. Yeah. But it's funny. We had a little golf tournament the other day, and Sean Stockton, who's the nephew of John Stockton, was my point guard at Montana for several years, one of the winningest players in a 4-year span. And one of my recent hires, Joey Petchels, our new player of personnel, was with us at Montana as well for a number of years. And so they started bringing up some Tinkleisms and some of the one-liners that we have some fun at in practice, but I don't think I can bring those up right now. I got a haircut at Dar's right here this morning, and he goes, Coach, can you confirm this? Did you really say in a game, son, shoot the ball? If anyone's got the green light, it's you. You're my son. I said, well, I don't know. I said that in a game, but I did say it in practice one time. Going back again, he was passing up shots, but it was in jest. Yeah, everybody got a chuckle out of it. So we've had some fun out there. The experience has to be fun. But if you're not bringing the right attitude or the right effort, level of concentration on and off, you're going to know about it pretty quickly.
All right. So your time here in Corvallis so far, do you have a specific favorite? I mean, you've only been here for a little bit so far, but do you have a favorite team memory with these young guys or specific game that really stood out to you?
The Arizona win in year one when they were ranked, I think 6th or 7th, just seeing Gil erupt after that victory was great, and it added a lot of credibility to. We told the guys, if you will just buy in, it's nothing miraculous. You can do these things, but if you do them, it'll lead to things like this. And so that was really neat. And then I tell you what, this year the win at UCLA, which pretty much told us we were going to get in the NCAA tournament, in the locker room after that game, it was incredible. And Jarmal's probably the player that I butt heads with the most. All the players think you need to see eye to eye. No, there's no eye to eye. You need to see the coach's eyes, right? And Jarmal just, his body language out there once in a while. I'm a big body language guy, and he came a long way. And he'll tell you today he learned a lot in the last couple of years. But I think he was really wanting to do this. He was the one hiding behind the lockers with the Gatorade bucket of water. And when I came in, doused me, and he thought it was real funny till I told him I was giving him the dry cleaning bill. So we'll make up for that. But those are a couple of the real fun moments that I remember in our brief time here.
Yeah. So you also mentioned Big G and how he's kind of changing and looking bigger. When Drew Eubanks was on, he mentioned that he was working on a shot. And he was maybe looking at playing the 4. And with some of the graduating seniors, do you know or like any lineup changes that are happening?
We're hoping that either Big G or Drew can play some of the 4. Now, what I told Drew all spring long, they just jack 3s. And I'm like, no, don't try to be Olaf. Be Drew and G, and we'll occasionally let you maybe step outside, but. We want to be able to play big. We feel like we've got the ability to play small. If we move Trace to the 4, like we did a lot this year, go with 4 guards. But we want to play big at times as well. And we've got a couple of guys that are banged up. Ben Kone, that's coming in, is 6'7", 6'8", but he's not going to be available right away because he had knee surgery. So we're hoping to develop that out of Drew or G. Right now, G's probably the better perimeter shooter. Time has to stand still for him to get the shot off, but he does make a good amount of them out there. But Drew's got to be able to handle the ball in our high-low offense. And so hopefully if he continues to work the right way, and he'll get better there, because I think ultimately at the next level, his position probably would be power forward.
So, contract extension, that just was made official yesterday, 2 days ago, through 21-22.
Yeah.
What does that mean for you to kind of stay in Corvallis and, have that?
It's great. Yeah, it's great. And, just to have the support of the administration and have them, believing in what you're doing and where the program, the direction of it is headed is fantastic. And it goes a long way with recruiting. When we talk to these recruits and, hey, we're a program on the rise. Look what we've accomplished. Look at what our administration believes in. We're doing this and that. So that goes a long way. And everybody understands. There was one or two people like, why would you look at another team within the conference? Well, just to give a little bit of background, my coach left when I was at Montana to go to Stanford. My daughter played at Stanford, so for 4 years we were on that campus. We got to know a lot of people. And so you've got to keep your ears open from time to time. And but it was just great that Oregon State stepped up the way they did. And my wife and children through the process, Trace really didn't know what was going on because we kept him out of it. But they're like, we love Corvallis. My daughter from Gonzaga called and she's like, Dad, we can't go anywhere. These are our people. Yeah. So we feel so at home here with, it reminds us a lot of Montana with the blue collar, down to earth. Let's everybody lock arms and go to work. And, there's no noses in the air thinking that we're, above and beyond anybody else like a lot of places. So we feel very much at home here. We're excited that we're going to be here for, if we could call it till the end of our coaching career. Hopefully the administration sees it that way too.
All right. So got a last question here, sort of looking at GP2 in the draft and sort of your thoughts on that. But what has it been like for you to step into an organization where, Gary Payton Sr. has played such a big role, and what has that sort of meant for you and the team?
Oh, it's been great. A lot of people, told me you're going to have some issues there, and there was never one issue.
Yeah.
Just because of the legendary status of his father and now his son, it was unbelievable. I mean, Gary Payton Sr. never came to a practice, never called and said, Coach, you need to do this, or pulled his son aside and coached him and no, you need to do it this way, not the way there. So that was very, very, very smooth. Obviously, when he was at the games here, there was a whole different level of excitement and Gil. And then GP2 was such a good kid. I mean, he was a great leader to these young guys this year. And I think obviously it's a no-brainer. He was the reason we had the success we had was because of what he did and what he brought every day. So I could see him going anywhere from, I don't know about the middle of the first round, but his potential's through the roof. And that's what we told all the scouts that called is where they feel he may be deficient, consistent shooting, maybe, handling the ball, going right, which he got a lot better in between year 1 and 2. Those things, they can work with him 5 hours a day in the offseason. We get him for 2 hours a week in the offseason. But the things that he's really off the charts, his athleticism, his court vision, his IQ, his ability to pass, his ability to make plays defensively and rebound, I mean, they're high level. So somebody's going to see that, and he's going to get a legit opportunity. It'll be very, very exciting.
So, Coach, we'll get you out of get you out of here on this. All right, I'm going to take you back to 2014. You're still coaching at Montana. You get named the sexiest man in college basketball.
Why does this always happen?
What? I mean, what's the reaction when you get something like that?
It was like a punked, segment. That's what it was. It was all a joke. I don't know. I don't even know that they've had that again since then. But
so you're the last.
So you're the reigning champion.
Reigning champ.
Yeah, the reigning champ. And so whenever any of my brethren bust my chops, I'm like, I'm going to hold the title forever because there's nowhere to go but down from here, right?
True.
Exactly.
It's funny. I do. I get my chops busted quite a bit over that, but it was kind of a funny deal. I didn't really know about it till they got a hold of one of my assistants. I think he held it off for a week. He didn't want to let me know in the middle of the season that this thing was going on. So we had some fun with it. I don't think my wife would agree with it. Well, I know she doesn't agree with it, but anyway, it's one title I've got, and I always get asked. Yep. Thanks for bringing it up.
We had to do it. We were doing our research and we found it, and I'm like, well, I got to ask Wayne Tinkle about it. He's only going to be on once.
Yeah. Well, I don't think if they had another competition, I'd be back to back. So don't have anything to worry about there. Thanks, guys. Had a great time.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on graduating.
Thanks,
hope nothing but the best for you all.
Thanks,
and whenever
Coach.
you land somewhere else, don't hesitate to call on us.
And we'll be back plenty.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sporting.
Good
All
job.
right.
Go
Going
Beavs.
to
Beavs.
PSA break. Go Beavs.